Welcome to On the Map, a podcast produced by Music Artist Pipeline. I'm your host, Chuck Hutchison. Today's guest is Georgia Country Awards Female Artist of the Year winner, Kori Spires. Kori is an active singer and songwriter from McRae, Georgia. Having recently released her single and video, Cheers to No Regrets, Kori is well on her way to becoming one of Georgia's next big breakout country artists. Join with us today as we take our next trip with you here on The Map.
I've been looking for something I can't find.
Hey everybody. Today here at Map Studios and on The Map podcast, we have the one and only Kori Spires. Kori is a local girl from right here in McRae, Georgia, and she is really making tracks in the music world. And she's doing some great stuff. So glad to have her. I've actually worked with Kori a few times here in the studio and a couple of gigs, and she is the real deal. Great voice, and we're excited to have her today. So what we're going to do, we're just going to jump in and ask her a few questions and just have a conversation. Kori, tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know you and don't know what you do.
All right. Well, I'm Kori Spires. I'm the 2020 Georgia Country Female Artist of the Year. I have been singing my whole life. I started as a little pageant girl, and that's like where my talent came from. Because every little Southern girl clogs, and I was just like, okay, so I'm going to do something different. So I'm going to sing. I'll be different. So just started with that, and then it just kind of took off from there.
I wasn't a clogging person. I was a fairly athletic guy in high school, but interesting story. My dad, he was kind of a smaller guy, and he broke his leg playing high school football in the 9th grade. He was kind of a runt, so when my brother and I got to high school, he never did want us to play. He didn't want us getting hurt, and that's understandable. Yeah. And by the time I outgrew my dad, I had already gotten into the high school band, and that was my thing, and I was actually pretty good at it. And I definitely outgrew my dad, and my brother and I both. We teased him. We're overachievers, So I have never worn a football uniform, even though I'm stocky and I would have made a great fullback, I think. But I always lean toward the music thing, and it's been good to me,
Yeah, I'm not an athletic person either. My brother was like the more athletic one, but I'm just no. It's like all gibberish to me. Yeah. But you can talk about anything else in the world, and I'm like, yeah, I know everything about it. But like sports, not my forte.
Your brother's, he's in ministry, is that right?
He is.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, so he's in the ministry. He's currently in Monroe, Louisiana. That's like, for those that don't know, that's the Duck Dynasty land. Mm-hmm. So they literally drive past their warehouse every day going to work.
That's cool.
So, he's been doing that since he was in high school. He was actually, him and his wife, girlfriend at the time, they were each other's first boyfriend and girlfriend, and then they got married, and then they've just been together ever since. So they started that together when they were in high school. They took over the youth group because they didn't have a youth leader at the time. So it just all went from there.
I'm definitely active in all things that I can be and am allowed to be with the church.
I know how you feel.
It's when you have musical gifts, you want them to be used. I mean, we love what we do, and if we have a good heart, we want to bless people with it. We want people to be inspired by it. Yeah. And the church is one of the best ways to do that. And there's a little bit of responsibility there as far as how we carry ourselves and whatnot, and that's just part of being a believer. But it's really cool, and I know you feel the same way when you can get up in front of people and share with them and be a good example and say, hey, you can do this, you can create, you can use these gifts that God's given you.
Yeah.
And there is the responsibility, but it's also a great reward. It's always better to give than receive. Now, what songs are you working on these days?
I'm actually working on some originals with you. I have a new song coming out very soon called 10 Mile Town. I also have a song that I released back last year in November, Cheers to No Regrets, and that is also a music video with that as well. Okay, so y'all be sure to go check that out.
Where can we find that?
YouTube, just Kori, Cheers to No Regrets on YouTube, and then also any streaming platform, it's just Kori.
Now, do you have a website yet?
I do. It's KoriSpiresMusic.com.
So you're ahead of me there, because we're the studio here. For those of you don't know about Music Artist Pipeline, we're a small studio in McRae, Georgia, and I don't even have my website up yet, so I'm
goodness.
I'm behind the curve. But
Well, I can help you. I'm a total like tech nerd. Like I'm certified and all that. I got certified and all that, so I just
really
whip it up. It's super easy.
You got certified in it?
Yeah.
Legit certified?
Yeah, like with websites and Microsoft.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me that. I might have to put you to work.
Put me to work.
Yeah, trade out some studio time or something.
Yeah.
With it's funny. We're from a very small town in Mid-South Georgia. For those of you who don't know where McRae is, we're 30 miles south of Dublin, Georgia. Dublin is located between Savannah and Macon. And there's not much around here but farmland and pine trees.
You know, actually, one thing I found, they're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, I'm from McRae, Georgia. And the first thing they think I'm saying is, I'm from Gray, Georgia. I'm like, no, McRae. We have the Statue of Liberty. And they're like, oh, okay, I know what you're talking about now. So, like, everyone knows we have that little Statue of Liberty that's literally, we can walk outside and look at it right now. But
there's like 3 or 4 major Georgia roads that intersect here: 441, 341, 280, and a couple of others. And everybody knows our little small Statue of Liberty where they're at, which you can almost see right outside the studio door here. I took a picture of the flag waving right next to our cute little miniature Statue of Liberty, and I posted it one day. The wind was blowing; it was just gorgeous. We were both kind of patriotic, and it's just kind of cool to see that and to have that right in front of the studio. We I don't want to get political, but we live in a great country, and there's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But we still have some of the greatest freedoms in the world. That's just you just can't argue that. So with some of your gigs that you've had, I know you play all over the place. Every weekend you're like somewhere. Where you guys playing? Well, the podcast is on a little delay, but where are some of the regular places people might be able to find you?
Okay, you can normally find me, let's see, Red Stag, Vidalia, Georgia. A lot of places in Macon. I'm pretty much in Macon every other weekend, so y'all can just check me out on Facebook. It's Kori Spires, Korispires. And I try to keep all my events posted there and also all my bands in town on my website. So y'all can just go subscribe to me on there and you will get notifications everywhere I'm at.
Oh, good deal, good deal. You've got this down pat. I've worked with a lot of different people in the music side of things, and they're like, but not, man, you're like pro. you're getting at this. It's cool to see because I was never the front guy. I was always the guy playing music instruments behind everybody else. And so I'm one of these guys, man. I like seeing people succeed. I like seeing people take off and advance forward. So to see you out there busting it and getting things done, I'm very happy for you. And your mom and I, we were in high school together. She was a couple years older, and so anytime you see or you have someone homegrown, I guess you'd say, anytime that they can succeed, that's a wonderful thing. We really celebrate that around here. Y'all, excuse me. The pollen this year has been awful, so I apologize for clearing my throat. Occasionally, I have to sing some backup, which is kind of fun. I did a track with Terry Richardson, and Terry's not a big performer, but he is a Grand Ole Opry member, and he did a duet with Georgette Jones, who was George Jones and Tammy Wynette's youngest daughter, and her husband, Jamie Lennon, plays pedal steel, and ended up doing some male background parts on the old duet Golden Ring. I just did it just for fun, and it turned out pretty good. And I'm like, man, maybe I should do this more often.
Now, if y'all haven't seen Chuck play anywhere, y'all do need to catch him. I know you're doing a lot of stuff with Derek Dove, correct?
Yeah, we do a lot of private parties and weddings.
Yeah.
Derek has a group. His main group is Derek Dove and the Peacekeepers. They're out of Tifton, Georgia. And they're a great blues rock combo. Yeah. He does a lot of originals. Derek also plays bass with the Kinchifuti Cowboys. And a lot of people don't know this. If you're not familiar with the Kinchifuti Cowboys, Georgia-based band, they're really big in Athens. They've sold out the Georgia Theater more than anybody. And they're just one of those popular bands that have been around a while. And every time they play in Athens, man, they have a good sellout crowd. They're still hot. It's funny how some of these groups that never really quite reach superstar status, but they're local favorites. They're local legends, And I love hearing stories like that, So part of one of the things that we want to do with On the Map podcast here, as we branch out and interview other people, is to just kind of share these stories because there are so many talented people in this area. I stopped at a yard sale just the other day on Saturday here, going towards Dublin on the 441, an old farmhouse estate sale. Well, come to find out, he was Mr. Harrelson. I forget his first name. But he used to play on some TV stations in the 50s and 60s. And I think he might have been a grand old opera member. I got to get some details on that.
Yeah.
But in this estate sale, somebody called me up and said, hey, man, they got a lot of instruments over here. You need to come check it out. And it ended up being just a lot of old stuff. But it was still cool to talk with his son, who was also a musician. And he told me the story of everything. And I was kind of in a rush. I had to leave. But, you know, you never know who's right around the corner. I used to live 2 blocks over from Wayne Minor.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know Wayne.
Yeah.
He was a very active Georgia musician, a talented dude. And the cool thing is sometimes you discover the most awesome stories of people that maybe did something really, really cool in the music world, and you just have no idea.
Mm-hmm. That's one thing I do like. All the musicians around here, I mean, we all seem to stick together. I mean, we all understand that we're not really in competition with each other. Like, we all have our own audiences and everything. But I just love listening to other stories and, like, learning from everyone, because I do not know everything in the world. So yep. I'm always, I guess, honored whenever older musicians share their experience with me.
Yeah. Speaking of older musicians, are you 21 yet?
Yeah.
You are? Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know you were 21 yet.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, you're legal now. Okay. You can talk about these things freely. Talk about the old guys and the young guys and all the stuff we go through. No, I tell you, as a musician myself, there are so many things you learn over the years, and and like we were talking about earlier, being of the Christian faith, one of the things that you kind of learn to not suppress but just deal with is ego. Mm-hmm. You know, when you're dealing with artistic things, sometimes that's our little baby, you know, and you take care of your baby, you defend your baby, you know, that's my baby. But as you grow as a musician, you learn the benefit and the importance of finding other like-minded musicians, songwriters, creators, and when you find that and you all start to nurture each other and develop each other, it's a really cool thing.
Yeah.
So what are some of the inspirations for the songs that you write?
Inspirations for songs that I write, let's see. Mainly I just listen to my friends talk a lot. I learned that if you keep your mouth shut, you learn more. Mm-hmm. So,
very true.
Yeah. So, I just really listen to their stories and I'm a talker. I love talking to everyone. Like I said, you do keep your mouth shut, but you do learn more when you keep your mouth shut, but also if you talk to people. Mm-hmm. So, I just kind of like a Taylor Swift deal. I don't know. You know how she writes about everyone and writes about her own experiences. So mainly just that. Currently, I am going through just a lot of life changes, you know, just part of getting older and dealing with everything. I just lost my grandparents. So I just wrote like 3 songs just about my grandpa.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this is so like older country stuff. But, you know, like grandpa, tell me about the good old day, you know, stuff like that. But
well, you know, a good song is really just a story set to music. You know?
Yeah.
And the best songs are the ones about real life. You know? Mm-hmm. And I love hearing, you know, you don't like hearing tragedy. I mean,
yeah.
But when you hear a sad song or a sad story that relates to you, you know, especially the loss of grandparents or loved ones, you know, we've all experienced that. And that type of thing, it just brings us all together because we've all experienced it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's a great thing because sometimes we live in a world, especially with all the social media and everything, it seems like everybody's out there doing their own thing. Everybody's succeeding. Everybody's doing this, doing that. Mm-hmm. And there's always the internal feeling that we're alone, or maybe we're the only ones feeling this or experiencing this, but that's not true. And so one of the great things about music in a great song or a story is that you can relate. And so, you know, my hat's off to you for being able to write about that stuff. I wrote a song for my grandmother's funeral one time, and I'm like, I ain't singing this. Ain't no way I can barely get up there. You know how it is when you lose someone, you're all emotional, and it's like, I let somebody else do it.
Especially when it's fresh, you know.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I mainly just take what happens to me and people that I know and just turn it around. It's more of like a therapeutic thing, you know? So I'll just let it all out in the song and then just write it down, put it away, come back to it. Because I don't know about you, like when I write a song, I'll literally be dead asleep in the middle of the night, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's a good line. I need to get up and write it down. So I'll write it down and go back to sleep. Yep. And then maybe like a month later, I'll have the rest of the song. Yeah, I just have books of like fragments of things, and I'm like, oh, okay. So like when I actually sit down and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to write a little bit, I look and I'm like, oh, well, I already have like 3 songs right here just from all these parts that I've written. So
I know we were sitting here working one night, and we came up with the idea. We won't say it because somebody might steal it, but I love that little hook. You know the one I'm talking about?
Yeah, that one.
That was a great hook. Yeah. And sometimes those just pop out, and you're like, oh, that would be great. That'd be a great song.
Yeah.
You know, and that idea leads to another idea. And I know so many songwriters, exactly what you said. You write down snippets and little things that might be inspiring, and then they may not be inspiring at the moment, but when you come back to them, it's like, hey, I've got the next little piece to that.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of it's timing. You know, life is just one big progression. You know, you might not have experienced the feeling or the thing that you need for that song at this time, but maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you go through something and you're like, oh man, I am feeling this now. And those are the best songs. They are always the best songs, the one that you can feel, the ones that you can relate to the story, because you're like, oh man, I feel that song so much. That song she did, it just gets me, you know. And that's, you know, we want to create, but we also want to touch people, you know. And those are the best songs always. Now, being here in this area of Georgia, I've played with a lot of cover bands over the years, and a lot of my buddies play music. Tell me about some of the guys that you perform with, like Redbone and those guys.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Michael Redbone Walker. If y'all know him, if you're from this area, he is originally from Lumber City, Georgia. And he's just like, one word I used to describe Redbone is badass. Like, he's just, he's there. He's actually taught me a lot, and I really appreciate him. And he's kind of like a father figure. You know, he's always smiling at me like, yeah. He
is always grinning. He like a little Cheshire cat or something.
We love you, Redbone.
Yep. I wish we lived closer. He's a working man, so he doesn't do music full time, but he's
the Budweiser man.
He's a weekend warrior, and man, but I tell you, I know he's been playing for years and years, and I had the fortune of playing in a cover band with him called the 280 Cruisers, and we did a lot of two-nighters over the years. Matter of fact, I ran sound Saturday night for a band at the VFW in Baxley, and there's an old picture from 2005 of the 280 Cruisers up on the wall, and I had short hair, and I took a picture and showed my wife, you know, said, look at this, you know, I sent it to her, and it's funny, the things you do, and man, I've been blessed. My life, you know, some people say, man, life just passes so fast, and I'm like, man, I'm 48 years old. Mine's just getting started, you know. But I feel like I've already lived a lifetime, you know. Yeah. So, to me, I think when the Bible talks about God blessing you with long years, it's not always about the length. It's about the experiences within that time, you know. And for me, I really feel like it's the great experiences and the things that I've been able to be a part of. Yeah.
Have you seen Redbone lately? You know, he has a full beard.
I saw a picture, yeah.
He has a full beard. The picture I posted, it's bigger. It's like fuller now, and he's getting a little gray patch here now. It's still red as it can be, but...
Redbone is one of these local guitar heroes who, when you say, hey, can you play this song? Oh, yeah. Yeah. He learned the old Skinner solos and all those guys, and he would learn a solo note for note.
Just like it's written.
Yeah. He's an old school guitar player. Great guy. Shout out again to Redbone.
Turn up for Redbone.
We talking about you if your ears are burning.
Yeah. I'm actually waiting on him to text me back.
Let's see, Mike Webb. I've played with Mike.
Yes, Mike Webb. Great drummer, very talented. He's actually ventured into keyboard and a lot of other instruments as well, if you've been keeping up with Mr. Mike Webb. Also, I have been playing with George Sandler. He's from up around the Atlanta area. He's also a very talented drummer. And George, if you tell him, like, hey, we're going to do these songs, he's going to show up with them. He's going to show up with them charted. He's going to show up ready to go.
George is
love George.
I did a gig a few years ago with Amy Taylor, and she hired George to do that gig at Coyotes in Augusta. Yeah. And, that was a good gig. George is a great drummer. It was a loud gig that night.
Oh, yeah.
George likes to run his own sub mix as a drummer, and then the house guy who was running front of house, man, they had everything hot. I was wishing for in-ear monitors that night, but Sometimes you just got to roll with the venue.
Mm-hmm. And actually, for bass right now, I have Mr. Jesse Perkins from Macon. Very talented. Love Jesse.
He's a great guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to do with this podcast is like let people know about all these guys, you know, because there's a lot of talent around here, and you know, you see these guys up on stage, you're like, oh, they were great, but you don't really know about them.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people, they're like, why don't you go to Nashville? Like, what are you doing around here? And I'm like, are you crazy? Why would I go to Nashville? Like, South Georgia is really where the music scene is booming right now, because I mean, look at Macon. Everything in there is like a little Nashville, what Nashville used to be, anyway. But Nashville's just became such a big tourist party town, overhyped and overcrowded, in my opinion. Yeah. But down here is really where it's happening. And a lot of the musicians from down here that have moved to Nashville, they're actually coming back down here because they see everything that's going on down here. So I'm like, why would I go up there when I could do more here, you know?
Well, Nashville will always have that mystique, and people will always try to go there and make it big. But even in the old days, it wasn't easy. You still had to, you know, bust your butt and get to know the right people. And it's even harder now because the industry's kind of gotten watered down. Yeah. And there's so many people trying to do it. You know, there are musicians up there that can play their butt off. I mean, do any show anywhere.
But they might be homeless.
Exactly. Exactly. I had a friend of mine who was up there a year or two ago, and they saw this guy taking a bath in a fountain, you know, a public fountain. And they were curious, so they walked over and said, "Hey, man, you okay? You know, we just want to know what's going on. You know, you okay?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm just homeless. Came out here from California trying to make it, and you know, it's just so tough. There's so many musicians that the opportunities have become less and less and less and less. And the thing about a town like Nashville, once you establish yourself, if you're lucky and you meet the right people, you're going to get a lot of work because they know that, okay, this guy can play, this guy's dependable. Those are the two things as a musician you got to have: dependability and ability. And if you don't have those two, you may as well not even go there. Yeah. And even then, you've got to meet the right people, do the right thing, because a lot of it is image too. You know. Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, I'm friends with some of the Collective Souls guys out of Atlanta, and you know, when they first got started, one of the brothers had to leave the band when they were first discovered because they didn't want to sign the band with him because he was overweight. That sucks, but at the time in the industry, that's kind of how things were working. Things are a lot better now. I'm glad that it's kind of gone to the wayside. But unfortunately, the visual side of music for a time there was superseding the actual talent side. Yeah. Yeah, the music industry changed a lot. I'm glad that indie artists are growing, and there's just so much change. I'm glad to see it.
I know, and like with everything now, like with TikTok and all the social media stuff, like if you really work your social media, then people, they'll start seeing who you are. Just because I've learned you got to post like every day, constantly all day, every day. Yeah. Because like my day job is I run a boutique in my mom's shop, and I have those girls. I'm like, look, you need to post like every hour, at least something. I mean, even if it's just a necklace or a bracelet or something like that, because it's all about the algorithm. So if you are constantly posting, then Facebook's more likely to push your post, or Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, it's about relating to your fans. You know, if people like what you do, they want to know who you are. They want to know what you're about. They want to see what you're doing. You know, my buddy Mill, I introduced you to Mill Cannon. He does a lot of stuff with the Savannah Bananas minor league baseball team. Well, they were one of the only teams in the country last year during COVID to meet the guidelines.
And their TikTok game is strong. Like they are pumping it out on TikTok.
And Mill wasn't even really that familiar with TikTok last year when he was doing a lot of their video and film work and stuff. Yeah. And so one of the younger guys said, "Man, we need to do some TikTok posts." Mill's like, "What's TikTok?" So they did, and they put 3 or 4 videos up, little short things. I mean, within like a week or two, they had like 4 million views.
Yeah, and plus it was during like the middle of quarantine too, so a lot of people were just sitting at home on social media anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
So I mean, in ways, the whole shutdown and quarantine thing, it really helped a lot of it did help small businesses in ways, and like artists and everything, because that's all people had to do was look at social media. Yeah. So I mean, if you could go on there and you could do a live stream and do virtual tips, I mean, hey, you were doing okay, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So
as a studio, in a small town, this is not a high dollar business.
Yeah.
But I did do more work during COVID because nobody could go play gigs.
Yeah.
Everything was shut down. But guys still were writing, still creating. And so I was able to continue to work with folks. So I'm thankful for that. And, hopefully we can continue to build this thing. We got some really cool stuff going on. We're actually going to install a new mixing console, this week, hopefully. So this room we're sitting in now, the control room, will be completely empty and wiped out. We're going to put down a new rug, get like this big 7.5 foot console in here, and it's going to take up almost half the room. But it'll be a cool tool to be able to integrate all our other gear.
You may have to tear this wall down.
Oh, I think we'd rather get another building. My studio partner, Kent, he's actually looking for another building. We're going to see what we can find and hopefully make this thing go even bigger.
You have grown a lot within the past few years, but especially within the last year, you've grown a lot.
Yeah. Well, you do something long enough, I guess, you either... Well, I'll just say this: the old country saying, a blind hog will find an acorn every once in a while. No, if you do something long enough, man, persistence. People want to be a part of things that are solid.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this on the way. I drove up from Florida this morning. We were visiting my wife's family for Easter, and if you do something long enough, people begin to recognize that. If you keep singing, you keep performing, and you're out in front of people long enough, eventually people are going to be like, well, she's the real deal. She's doing this because she wants to,
Yeah.
It's not some little passing fancy or a little hobby. I mean, and this is really what you want to do.
Yeah.
And people see that and they respect that.
A lot of people don't understand how much work really goes into all of it. They're just like, oh, you just get up on stage and sing. No, I don't.
Yeah.
No. I have to keep a band together and I have to manage everything because, when you're first starting out, you are your own manager, you're your own booking agent, you're like everything. So your head is in a million different places and you're like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I may have a band, but I need shows.
And one of the biggest challenges, this, is getting a band to commit because a lot of us guys here in South Georgia, we play in 3-4 different bands. I'm like a pickup guy. People will call me up and say, hey, I got a wedding gig. Can you come do this? I may have never played with that band before, and that happens occasionally. And then there's a handful of other groups that I play with, and they don't play that often. So, but they get good paying wedding gigs. So it's like, okay, well, I got to go do this one. And but unfortunately, it's one of those things where, if you book one band, then that knocks out another gig.
Yeah.
Sometimes you commit to a gig and you're like, oh crap, I could have made $400 on this one, but only made $250 on this one. But that's just part of being a musician, sticking to your words, sticking to your guns, and being professional. And there are a lot of professional musicians around here. Some of them are kind of shady. We've all dealt with those, and I don't even want to get into any
those
stories.
Are everywhere. They're everywhere.
Oh yeah. I don't want to get into any stories, but if you are a musician and you want more work,
don't be shady.
Be professional. Show up. Actually learn the songs and whatnot. That kills me when guys show up to a gig and I played at the Chattanooga River Bend Festival one time.
Yeah.
With Vicki Maxwell, and she's a great songwriter. Her dad used to be a big audio engineer in Nashville, but the guitar player at the time, he was playing with Cody McGarver, and basically they hired me and some of Cody McCarver's guys, and the guitar player came in. You could tell he hadn't looked at these songs a bit. He had a new girlfriend.
Good God.
He had a new girlfriend, and she was there, and they were all over each other.
Like, dude, you're the guitar player. Like, you're.
Yeah, and he was messing up.
We kind of all revolve around you.
He was messing up left and right. It's like, oh no, man! It just, it happens. But,
for River Bend too.
Yeah, it was.
It wasn't like it was some little menu venue. It was like a.
Well, that year, that year they had their big stage on the floating platform, and Skinner played that year. And then we were on one of the side stages. And after Cody played, the legendary guitar player Larry Carlton, his band played, and he did a lot of Steely Dan stuff. So it was kind of cool to see him play live in person. But yeah, man, if you're a musician, do the gig, play the gig. It's amazing to me the egos we have to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I got a question for you.
Okay.
As a singer and someone who tries to keep a backing band going.
Yes.
What is it that you look for and this is for all you musicians out there looking for legit gigs and trying to find some work? What do you look for?
Yeah, hit me up. You got to be consistent with your playing and also dependable. Like you were saying, dependability is a major thing right now. Just be easygoing, no drama. No one wants the drama. I mean, I understand everyone has baggage and everything, but in my opinion, you're coming to a job.
Yep.
I mean, do you bring all your stuff with you to your work? No. So, get through the gig, get it done.
Leave your nitpicky girlfriend at home.
No, you're welcome to bring your girlfriend. I mean, you're welcome to bring your girlfriend.
As long as she doesn't interfere with the work. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I totally get that. And that works in the studio too. It's like, if I hire a drummer to come in and play a thing, sometimes I just need a simple beat. Sometimes we need a complex part, and you've got to know which drummer to use as well.
Yeah.
But the thing is, whatever the song needs, that's what you need to play. Mm-hmm. And a lot of musicians, they just don't get that. They just play it. It feels good. If it feels good, it is good. Not necessarily. I mean, you could take a couple of 14, 15-year-old guitar players, throw them in a garage band, and it crank it up real loud, and it'll feel good, but it may sound like crap. So on one hand, music is about feeling, but it's also about being able to execute. Mm-hmm. Real musicians need to execute. So for all you musicians out there listening, play the song, play the job.
But no, you can, bring your girlfriend, bring whoever, if the venue allows for it. But I try to get along with everybody, and I just go with the flow. That's one thing that I've really learned. People, they're like, oh, you're just normal. I'm like, yeah, I'm normal. Like, what else would I be, like an alien or something? Like, oh my God. It's
funny you mentioned that. I know some PR people in Nashville, and they actually kind of encourage you to be standoffish and act like a star, But I don't know. I just don't get into that.
A lot of people don't. They want someone they can relate to.
Yeah. Someone
that's like, oh, like she don't think she's better than everybody. Like, she's just like me. Like, yeah. Because to me, more people that I've looked up to or like had role models, I can relate to them more. Mm-hmm. So, because who wants to be, let's see, how would I put it? I want it to be like you could be my best friend, Yeah. Because, who would you want to be best friends with someone who's like a complete snob and a little bitty? Like, no. No.
Totally. And same thing with pretentious musicians, if you're in a band and you're trying to create something as a group, it's like a team. It's a football team. It's a sports team. This part has to be here. You got to play this part. You got to play this part. And it all has to work together for the thing to turn out like it should be. And if it works, everybody wins.
Yeah. Like, I don't put, a lot of people are like, oh, like you're the star, like you're the lead singer. No, don't say that. We're all in this together, because without them, I wouldn't be up here doing it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't pick a lick. So, no, we're all in this together. Like, we're all equal. So.
Yeah. But on the flip side, though, you are the central point, because you are the singer.
But I don't treat them any lesser. You know what I'm saying?
And that, my hat's off to you for that, because I've worked with some good people before, and the best people that I love working with are the ones that will, like Kendra Wells, for instance. When we would do gigs a few years ago, she would jump right in and help break down the drums and break down mic stands and stuff. Yeah. I'm like, I can respect that totally, because she realizes this is a job.
I'm a great roadie now. I got it down to a pro, like to a T. I can roadie. I can pick up speakers. I load equipment all the time.
I know you've done it a good bit, and I ran sound by myself for a group this past Saturday night, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do boom, 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 boom. The quicker you get it done, the quicker you're out of there and go home and stop by the Waffle House or whatever, So you learn to do it efficiently. Efficiency is everything. Even with playing an instrument, efficiency.
We have everything down to like a system. Like, we have the trailer visualized in our mind, and we're like, okay, this goes here, 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 here. And then we're just like, boom, boom, boom.
It's a game of Tetris, but and sometimes now with my trailer, I don't have any shelves yet. So when I'm loading up my stuff, I'm like, okay, I know the big stuff goes here first, the square stuff, and then the little stuff goes on top.
Well, wait, we do speakers on. You see my trailer, so we have speakers on the bottom, drums at the front, and then we have chords in containers. Each chord has its own place. And then like our big long cords when we play big shows, the rolled up ones, we have little hangers on the wall. We just put them all on there. So my dad was a go-kart racer. So
I didn't know that.
yeah, he used to race go-karts. So he kind of, I got the trailer. It was just a shell. And so he was like, I'm going to build some shelves and stuff in here. I was like, okay, so go for it. So he kind of set it up like his go-kart trailer used to be set up, you know, like all this stuff hanging on the walls and everything. So,
oh, that's cool. Yeah, I remember the old, you know, where Dollar General is now. There used to be a parking lot in front of that building. And back, you know, back in the late 80s, early 90s, you could see guys out there in that parking lot on the weekends late at night, you know, riding those go-karts around. And you know, we'd just be riding the strip, circling Hardee's, which is now the Subway, for those of you who know where McRae is and our layout. And, you know, you could get away with stuff like that back in the day. You probably can't now. You know, too many people would complain. But, yeah, I remember those racing go-karts in that parking lot. I bet your dad was out there cutting some tires.
Probably.
But I didn't know that about him. That's cool.
Yeah, he raced go-karts one time. His go-kart trailer has now turned into my mom's wedding trailer where she keeps all her wedding equipment and stuff when she has to do that. But, yeah, he just went in there and just, like, built it. Because he's kind of like me, like, with stuff that I have to be able to see it to know that I have it. Like, I have to be able to see everything. Everything has to be organized and laid out, and boom. I'm not, like, OCD, but, like, kind of OCD. But I think every woman's kind of a little bit of OCD.
Well, I think it's, you know, if you follow the, well, I guess you could call it nature, or you could call it God's design. You know, the woman is the organizer. I mean, they're, you know, it's.
I organize everyone else's stuff, but like, dear God, if you come look at my closet, like, it's chaos. But it's like, I know where everything is, though.
Well, you can see the studio right now.
Yeah,
stuff laying around. We're getting ready to change out, and it's. I know where everything is. I'm the opposite, and my mom was kind of that way when she worked with Dad and did his bookworking and stuff. That she'd have a stack of papers all over her desk, but she knew exactly where everything was. And I'm kind of in between. I'm like, my creative mind sometimes takes over, so I'm more about creating instead of organizing. Yeah. But I can organize. But then when I organize, I'm bad at initiating. So I teach. I say I think I put the pro in procrastination. You know. Yeah,
I'm a major procrastinator. Like, I'm blonde, but I'm very smart. And I wait till the last minute to do everything. That's how I was when I was in school and everything.
Oh, that was exactly.
I was just like, this is due at like midnight. Okay, I'll do it at like 11:45.
Yeah, I was exactly the same way.
It'll take like 10 minutes. I'll be fine.
I was exactly the same way when I was growing up.
No, I can't.
And I don't know why that is. It's like, I don't know. It's like I don't know if we're just not disciplined or if we're just us creative types. We're just thinking about other things we'd like to be creating. You know, I used to draw a lot and write stuff, and I was thinking about this as I've gotten older. I don't write hardly anything as much as I used to. I used to write stuff all the time, you know, and I don't do that anymore. So I kind of miss that. And you know, as you get older, you kind of want to get back to the things that used to mean a lot to you. You know?
Like, I like to paint, and I tried to get into the whole calligraphy thing, but I was just like, no, this is really hard.
Yeah, I guess it's like anything. The more you do it, the easier it gets. Yeah. You know, it gets to a point where it's natural and you can enjoy it. I don't play a lot of guitar, but I play a little bit. The first time I tried to use my fret hand, and you know, that's not a natural position. You're kind of bending your wrist back towards you to press down on the strings. The first time I tried doing that, my pinky and my ring finger got numb. I mean, like, really numb. And I'm like, oh, crap, I hope I didn't hurt anything. But, I know. But it eventually went away after 2 or 3 weeks. But you know, sometimes we have to train our bodies and even our minds to do things that we're not used to doing. And as I've gotten older, I've learned the importance of that. It's like, okay, I have got to do this, and not get distracted. Yeah, I like, I make I braid macrame, like the big pieces and stuff. So, like, it took me forever to learn how to just like sit and have the patience to try to do all the little tiny knots. And because if I messed up, I'll just be like, oh my God, mental breakdown. Like, now I have to redo everything. Yeah. I'm, you know, guys, we were talking about how, you know, women are very good at organizing and guys sometimes aren't. And, you know, we just like doing things. We like seeing results. We like kicking butt and taking names and, you know, that kind of thing. That's how a lot of guys are. So we like seeing the results. That's our reward, you know. And the same way with anybody. I'm not just saying men, but But I think it's a little more so with men because the whole alpha male thing, we want to conquer, we want to do this,
Yeah, I seen this thing on Facebook last night. It was like, how to grill like a man or something. And it was like, tell wife to go pick up all the food. Make wife prepare all the sides and desserts. Make wife invite everyone over. Make wife season the meat and have everything ready for you. And then it was like, this is what you do. Put it on the grill. Cook it. Take it off. Bring meat back to wife.
That's funny.
And then it was like, stand there and let everyone praise you for your cooking. And then ask wife how she enjoyed her night off. But yeah, I thought that was so funny. Because it was just like how men do things. So.
Well, it's true for a lot of men.
Yeah, I know.
Human psychology is so funny. And as I've gotten older, I've always been kind of philosophical.
Yeah.
So as I've gotten older, I notice how people operate and things. And it's not that you're, curious in a like a weird kind of way, but you're curious about how people view things, how they want to do things, and all that.
I think it's more of a musician thing because we have to be able to read a person to see what they enjoy or what they like. So,
yeah, and part of it too is if you're a band leader, which you somewhat are, you have to understand human psychology and how to get the best out of people.
Yeah,
you have a team. You're trying to work these guys, and all right, guys, this is what we got to do. We got to do this, and it's a little bit of a process because you got to pick the right guys.
You have to be able to read the room.
Yeah, and then when you get the guys together, you got to get them doing their thing.
Yeah.
And then when you're actually performing, you got to make sure it's translating to the crowd. Mm-hmm. And even beyond that, there's the technical aspect of making sure everything sounds good. So it's so many little processes, little things that make the big.
And I think that's really what makes like a good musician is someone who can connect. Because if you can't connect with the crowd, then what are you doing? Your purpose is just kind of like you're just standing there playing.
Yeah. And we all know clubs where, and I just use Kerrigan's as an example. We all know that place in by Dave because it's kind of close to us and one of the bigger venues. Mm-hmm. But the band will play for 30 minutes and then they'll play 30 minutes of booty bumping music. Mm-hmm. And I hate it when the band becomes like the background noise.
Yeah.
And nothing against Kerrigan's, that's their formula and it works for them. And but as a band, as a musician, you want to know that you're doing the right thing too.
Yeah, like we feed off that interaction with the crowd.
Yeah, and when that's happening, it's addictive. When I was younger, not too much older than you, I would drive 2 hours to go play free with good musicians because I just needed that interaction and that musical ability to express myself musically, but also to interact with other good musicians. Yeah. And it's like a drug, but it's really the best drug in the world because it lifts you up. You're lifting other people up. The only thing you're getting out of it is maybe a loss of time. Yeah. If you're lucky, you're making money at it. But there is nothing that beats that interaction. Knowing that you went and you created something. You were a part of a reciprocating, breathing thing, where you created this great music. You were able to get philosophical. Mr. Philosophy here.
Go for it.
Mr. Philosophy. Did you hear that? I said philosophy.
Philosophy.
My new nickname. But when we say something, sound travels in waves. Yeah. Those waves go on forever in some form or fashion, theoretically, because it's energy. Sunlight, light is energy. It's waves. Travels very fast. Music travels in waves, just a lot slower. So I heard a guy say one time, music is light. It just travels slower. And that's why it touches so many people. And then our buddy Mama Jan up in Atlanta, she said, let me see if I can get this right. Music is the only thing that can move you without your permission. I'm paraphrasing that. Because when you hear it, it affects your emotions. It affects you in some way or another, whether you want it to or not. Of course, with her influences and all the things she does, it kind of paints the picture of how important music is in the world. Mm-hmm. And that's another reason why I think we do this, because the world needs good music. The world needs good stories, good inspiration, especially with all the crazy stuff going on in this modern time.
From Mr. Philosophy himself.
Yeah. Can't believe I said that. I don't know if my coffee kicked in this morning.
Tegan's going to love that one.
Don't tell her.
She'll hear it eventually.
Just another nickname to add to the list. Let's see. What else can we talk about? You got anything you want to share? Any new things coming up or
nothing I can really share right now?
Yeah, I know you got one potential thing which would be awesome. I hope that works out for you. While we're at this point, go ahead and share where people can go find out about your information.
All right. Y'all can go find me on Facebook, Instagram. It's just Kori Spires. That's KORISPRES. All of my music is available on any online streaming platform. Also, check me out on Spotify and on Pandora Premium as well. I do have an iHeart radio station as well. And YouTube is just KORI Official.
Cool. That's a mouthful. I couldn't remember all that stuff, so I had to have you say it. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being on the podcast. We're gonna have these posted here soon, so we're on a little bit of a delay. We're not live, but we definitely wanted to have you on because you're a local girl, and we totally support local musicians and artists, and that's part of what we do. And we've got some good things cooking. We're remodeling the studio this week, getting in the console. We're going to be painting, putting a new rug down. So
I can tell you there's raspberry walls.
Well, they may or may not be raspberry when you come in again. That's just the first coat, and it looks kind of pinkish. Which hopefully we're going to have those covered up with some really cool.
You told me it was going to be like red, and I'm like, that's raspberry.
Yeah, well, it's a single coat. Yeah, we got some really cool like concert posters and signed things.
Yeah, cool.
Just yesterday, Kent. I think I may have said this earlier. Kent found in his warehouse, his little back shed where he keeps a lot of his music stuff, he found a 1978 Fender Jazz bass that he forgot he had.
Yeah.
And he's
see, you got to see it to know you have it.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to bring that over tomorrow or this week. And so we're going to have a really cool Fender Jazz bass in addition to the other stuff we have. And, we're just building our little studio. We're going to try to have the best tools available south of Atlanta. And, if you guys need something, let us know. We're totally excited to be creating and to be pulling together musicians and artists and songwriters like Kori. And that's our goal, man. We want to have a good time. We want to let people in Georgia know about not just ourselves, but everybody we work with, you know. And hopefully this thing will grow and we'll create the next little Muscle Shoals right here in McRae, Georgia. Now, I know we're working on a new single here, so you guys are going to have to be on the lookout for that. We'll definitely let you know when it's posted. You can go to my Facebook page, Music Artist Pipeline. I usually post it to my personal page, too. And once we get our website up and going, and we have the podcast available on the Georgia News site, that we've got to officiate that first. We're going to be sharing everything that Kori's up to, and we love promoting our local artists, and we like letting you guys know where she's going to be at. So if y'all see her out and about and Macon and different areas, Jackson and all the different places, y'all be sure to go and support her. She's got a great voice. She's writing some great songs, and we're excited to be a part of what she's doing. Well, Kori, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And any last words?
Y'all be on the lookout for my brand new single, 10 Mile Town. It's totally different from anything that I've ever done. I've been telling people I'm a rapper now, but as we were saying, it's not really rapping. It's just fast talking because I'm way too white for that. So I can't do all that. So yeah, y'all just be on the lookout. Exciting things coming.
Well, thank you for being here again, and we're excited for you. You're an awesome talent and a great gal. I appreciate everything you do, and you guys be on the lookout for her. And until next time, you guys have a great week.
You've been listening to On the Map, a podcast produced by Music Artist Pipeline. Special thanks to allongeorgia.com for hosting On the Map. Join us next time as we feature musicians, artists, producers, directors, content creators, and other amazing guests while we continue to put you on the map.